very shortly here. Okay, thanks very much for your time, Ron George. He's an expert in Legionella. Do you want to give us, Ron, a quick update on what's happening on ASHRAE 12? Go ahead, Ron.
Okay, ASHRAE Guideline 12 is a guideline that is a companion document to ASHRAE 188. And at ASHRAE Guideline 12, the current edition is 2000, and the ASHRAE Committee on Building Water Systems has been focusing on getting out the newly revised ASHRAE 188 standard, which is Legionellosis control for building water systems. And so that new standard was published in June of last year. And so now the committee has focused on updating Guideline 12, which gets into the mechanics of what needs to be done with maintaining building water systems. And that includes cooling towers, decorative fountains, plumbing systems, and basically anything in a building that receives domestic water and sends it through the pipings. If it can be aerosolized and grow Legionella bacteria and be a source for Legionella, then they've got things there that need to be addressed. So that guideline is being completely rewritten with new information, and there's quite a few comments in on it the last few weeks that I've been involved in it. And there is a meeting coming up in St. Louis at the mid-year ASHRAE meeting, their annual meeting, and the committee will be meeting there to talk about what's going on with the new guideline. It's not a standard; it's a guideline that accompanies the standard, which the standard 188 just basically says you need to put together a water management plan for your building, and then establish a water management team of key people that understand what's going on with the water systems. Then it says that you need to validate and verify that your water systems are safe. And so they've got some different processes in there. You can do it with heat, you can do it with chemicals, you can do it with flushing, but there's different ways of maintaining the water systems. And they don't tell you which one, they just give you the options, and they discuss a little bit about different aspects of it. But basically that's what they're doing.
So I noticed it's a guideline 2000. I'm on the ASHRAE website now where all the title, scopes, and purposes are. And indeed,
that guideline 2000 is what is currently in effect, but that will be drastically rewritten when this new draft comes out, and I suspect it'll be sometime right after the June meeting of ASHRAE in St. Louis. They will probably be going out for public review, and I'm not sure if it's a 30 or 45-day public review. So that document should be coming out for public review really soon. Then once it gets to public review, the committee will address all the comments from the public review, and then they're going to basically react to any comments there are, and then try to get the document published and approved by the board.
So what are the new things? What are the new, first of all, out of selfish purposes, we'd like to see the manufacturers redesign the product, the actual air handling equipment itself, so that it's easier for people who are cleaning, tradesmen, other maintenance workers. We believe that the product itself could be designed in a way that would cut the cost of getting the water clean and treating the water out in the exterior. That's been our priority. We never really argued with obviously the need for it, but we think there's a product solution. And almost everything out there in our experience, as far as leading practice, is all about how how to avoid litigation. Really, ASHRAE 188 is essentially a document for for the litigation industry. But how do we make it so that it's less expensive to do maintenance, which would reduce the risk? And as you'll see, I'll post this actually, this video clip on our website, so you can see and listen to my colleague Craig Butcher, and we actually have some photos of how the manufacturers can make the water drain into one corner, or to give better access for tradesmen, people to get out there and to work with the water. Are there any is there any discussion among the manufacturers like Baltimore and Marley about getting those products changed and redesigned, Ron?
I can't speak to any of the manufacturers, and the standard itself doesn't get into the details of manufacturing. Now, that's what the guideline will probably get more into, and the guideline is going to be more the nuts and bolts down at the grassroots level, whereas the standard itself is the overall. It's the umbrella. It's looking at everything from a mile high, and then the guideline is looking at everything from inside the mechanical room with the magnifying glass. So that's where it gets down into describing the issues. And the language has been sufficiently vague so as to not be too prescriptive, and it is allowing some ability or flexibility for owners to choose one option versus another. So they're very conscious about that. Okay. So there's enough members of the different manufacturers and building owners and the American Society of Hospital Engineers. They have representation, so there's been sufficient representation by those groups to make sure that no one's going to get painted in a corner here. But the issue is the standards being pushed forward because it is a health and safety issue, and they just want to make sure that the health and safety is looked at, because there have been some issues, and there's a new study, just so you know, that was just recently approved by I think it was the Environmental Protection Agency just approved 2 university studies for research on water quality associated with water conservation programs. And so what they're looking at is, with all of the water conservation programs out there and what's happened over the last, say, couple of decades, the amount of water that we've used has reduced significantly to the point where we're using about 20% of the water we used to use prior to the 1990s. And so because of that, what used to take about 2 to 3 days to get water from the water treatment plant to the furthest user in a system is now taking about 2 to 3 weeks to get water from the water treatment plant to the furthest user in a system. So what's happening is chlorine is dissipating, or the water treatment chemicals are dissipating down to levels that are ineffective at fighting bacteria growth. So the ends of the system are growing biofilm at an alarming rate. And if you'll note, there's been Legionella outbreaks in the Bronx, in Illinois, and in California, and of course last year in Flint. And these all happen in the summertime, so we're coming up on that time when the bacteria grows in warm water. So as the water warms up, the natural environment where you're present. So what happens is when it gets in the ideal growth range, it just blooms to high levels. And when you have chlorine in your water distribution system, the chlorine kills the bacteria, or controls the bacteria down to levels that are going to be not likely to cause a severe outbreak or a mass outbreak. So when the chlorine levels dissipate down to non-existence, then you have the potential for biofilms in the water distribution mains to grow to the point where if you have any disruption in that water main, say a fire event from the fire department, all of a sudden drawing a large volume of water that could flush off the biofilm off of the walls of the pipe, or if you have a water main break or something like that that disrupts the piping system, you could have a high volume of bacteria-laden water all of a sudden released into the piping system. And they believe that's partially what happened in the Flint area when they switched from one water source to the other. The other water source was lower in pH and dissolved the scale and sediment off the walls of the pipe, and the biofilm was growing on that scale and sediment. So the first few weeks after they switched over, they had a very high bacteria content, and they had a large Legionella outbreak in the area. So that goes to monitoring what's coming into your building and knowing what the water quality is coming in. And maybe that needs to be something that's looked at. But that's what this study that the EPA is commissioning is looking at with these water conservation programs and the really slow or sluggish flow of water nowadays with these water mains still sized for fire flow events. We have a situation where the water treatment chemicals are dissipating down to levels that are basically ineffective for controlling bacteria growth.
Yeah, Mother Nature has a way of extorting. You saw one problem, and Mother Nature comes back at you with another one. Well, this has been very informative. This has always been one that's been in the background, and I've always wondered what is the relationship between 188, the more politically visible one, and this one here. And it strikes me that they're one's a guideline, one is, let's see, 188. What's the formal title of 188?
It changed there towards the end. It's Legionellosis. You can look it up online. It's Legionellosis, control of Legionella in building water systems or something like that.
It's called risk management. Yeah, that's why I was saying it looks like a template for litigation. So risk management.
Yeah.
Water systems, and this one moves fairly quickly.
Yeah, and here, originally the title said Legionella prevention and building water systems, and I argued against using the word prevention because if you have the word prevention and they say that following this will prevent it, and if you follow it and it doesn't prevent it, then that would just that would be ridiculous, and then I would credit Larry from Philadelphia with bringing that to everybody's attention. But he's always involved. And so he is he's very conscious of these things that could lead to litigation, and he did bring that to the committee and said, look, if you don't believe me, go ask your attorneys. And ASHRAE went and asked their attorneys, and they did come back with a recommendation to maybe change the title to take the word prevention out.
Yeah, but then they put risk management in there. That sounds to me it's like rainmaking. But
managing it is just trying to keep it at a manageable level. It's not saying it's going to prevent it. You're just trying to control it.
Okay. Well, since you're on both, are you on the 12 committee also, Ron?
Yes.
Okay, good. So I'd recommend, why don't you think about sunsetting the other one and rolling the guideline into the standard? That's just me. And you probably
I think the building owners and managers were against that because the guideline is just a recommendation. It's not mandatory. But the standard is going to be adopted and be a mandatory requirement. So basically it allows a building to have a water management plan, and then once you put that water management plan into effect, you can control how you're going to be implementing that water management plan. And then you can get very detailed with it, or you can just be general with it. And as long as you have a water management plan and you're looking at the issue, then you're addressing the requirements and the standard. And then the guideline gets more into the detail, the nuts and bolts of how you do that. And there's a lot of opposition by different groups of putting a lot of that material in the standard. They didn't want to put temperatures in. They didn't want to mention chemicals, treatment methods, and things like that. They didn't want to get into a lot of that.
Okay.
So they've been trying to keep it at arm's length, and I understand the reasons for that.
Okay.
So,
well, you focus
I
on
think
that.
The standard says build a water management plan and a team, and the guideline gets into one of the ways you can do it.
Okay. Well, you focus on that, and I'll try to get Baltimore and Marley to get their products innovated. So what I'll do, Ron, yeah, we'll see what we can do about that one, right? I think we have enough of a market for them.
Well, they do have representation on the committee. They have on the 188 and the Guideline 12 committee. They do have representation.
Good. Well, then you can carry that message for them, for me. Well, look, Ron. Again, thanks very much. This was a great good fortune. We were actually starting to talk about the eyewash problem, eyewash testing problem. But we landed with Legionellosis, which is like an even more prevalent problem, especially as you say this time of year. It's likely to become a lot more visible. So I've got your website up here, Ron, and we have a meeting at Ross Business School on the 30th or the 1st set up, and I look forward to meeting you then. And you're likely going to see a fair amount of email going back and forth, both on the Legionella issue and also the eyewash. Thanks very much for your time, Ron.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
All right. Thanks a lot. Okay. Bye.